don't want to set the world on fire. So instead, we'll do a foursome, a Friday foursome. The forest of foursomes. You couldn't get more four than this special Fallout 4 foursome. Oh, God, I knew I'd get that wrong. Fallout Foursome. That's it. It just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Novabug back again. Hi guys, how are you all doing for a Friday foursome? Do you want a Fallout foursome? Because we're going to do one anyway. Jumping on the bandwagon a bit shamelessly. Well, not really, because it does have a theme and it does have a question to go with that theme. Naturally, otherwise, meshing the theme and the question and if they didn't associate would be totally pointless, and I don't know why you're watching this. But anyway, there's Fallout 4 just playing in the background to give us a bit of an ambience as we talk about this question, which I will pose shortly after we've talked about the previous Friday Foursome. Friday Foursome 10, great response. As always, 17 fantastic entries. Lots of regulars joining, and a couple of new guys as well. Well, one new guy. Two new guys, sorry. We have Chris Shank was straight off the bat with his third or fourth, I think, VR to the Friday Foursome. Retro Gamer Addict is back. Infected Flinch, of course. Acidonia 150, one of my all regulars, as well as Kit 171, another, nearly everyone, nearly all. But we'll come to that in another episode. Sinclair Ferrante, welcome to the Friday Foursome, sir. Alan Stewart, I think, is this your second, Alan, or your first? It might be your first. Well, welcome out if it is. If it isn't, welcome back. Highlander, back again. JL76 Gaming, well, I didn't even need to say his name, did I? Because you knew he would be in the Friday Foursome. Neo Turbo Maniac 78, welcome to the Friday Foursome, sir. Console Snob back again. Lactobacillus Prime, Majora T, welcome to the Friday Foursome. Electric Adventures, Bangkok Ian, 16-Bit J, and last but no means least, the Emperor himself, Swifto. So, 17 great entries of your irritating aspects of gaming, and there were some good rants. It was good fun watching them, as always. A lot of similarities with lots of people, with what annoys them about video gaming, and no surprises. Some of them actually were quite funny. Swifto's one was actually really funny. Went on it, a slightly different approach. He hates all video games. Kind of encompasses the whole thing, doesn't it, by saying that? But anyway, voting was good this time as well. My plea for you to vote worked wonders. So voting was really good. A great turnout for voting. Please keep it up. Please, as always, the links to all the videos will be on my Facebook for everybody who enters, and so on and so forth. So please go along to my Facebook page and give them a like. That counts as a vote if you like their VR. But the winners are this month for the Friday Foursome 10. First up, garnering a very impressive 9 votes, is my good buddy in Sheffield, Dave Infected Flinch, also known as Infected Flinch, should I say. Also, I'm getting my words wrong because I can't say his name properly. Should have his like short name, a like punchy name, Dave, like Novabug. It's a nice short punchy name. But anyway, here's his most irritating aspects of gaming.
One thing that's right knocking me off, and it's been, actually to be honest, it's been something that's been more obvious in games now in the last 10 years or so, probably PS2 era. It's been more relevant then. Is treating the player of a game, like an idiot. And I say this in the way of tutorials and hint and tips during the loading screens. Now, in certain games, that works and it needs it. Other games, no. It's just outright no. Don't need it. We know how this works. I mean, there was a parody video where it was Quake and they stuck in a tutorial system and he just completely dislodged it. The whole game just became broke because it's like, this is how you jump. Press A to, it was press space to jump. And it's ridiculous. And some games do it really smart, where like Portal 2 does it really well. You know, just saying press A to jump, and it's like, no, that's you jumping. You know, and That's when it's clever. It's really clever. But for the most part, it's just like, we know how shooting games work. Unless you've never ever picked up a pad before, there should be an option for just to turn that bullshit off. And it really, it feels almost to the point of patronising. Whereas like games like Mel Gear Solid 5, you need those hints and tips, because there's fuckloads you can do in that, and there's stuff I'm still learning. And I've had it for like nearly a month, and there's bits in that where a hint and tip bit will come up and you go, really? And you genuinely do go, is that how you do it? And you wouldn't think it. And that's when it's good, because it's actually a hint and a fucking tip, because it's something you need. It's not, shoot that guy in the head and he might die. It's like that, and it's just, oh. So yeah, that's just something over the last 10 or so years that seems to have permeated through into games, and it's just irritating. It's irritating as fuck. And some greater games do it in a very clever way and you don't realise you're in the tutorial, or it does it in a way that you go, oh, right, and that's when it's smart. And yeah, that's a massive bugbear of mine now, because back in the day, if you put that in Sonic, for example, the original Sonic, just wouldn't fly. Irritating aspect number 2, and it's something I've been getting off my chest for a while, especially if you go and have a look at the Metal Gear Solid 5 one I talked about here. It's the linear versus open world argument as well, which I've also done. It's narrative. It's narrative in game, and it's the illusion of choice and agency, and the fact that your choices don't matter. It's an irritating aspect in games at the moment as well. It's modern gaming more than retro gaming, because you basically had a story that worked. So like in most old games like Broken Sword, Discworld, Journeyman Project did it. You know, you had a set story. That's your story. Get through it, linear, beginning to end, and it's crafted well. It makes sense. You feel accomplished for doing that, because you know it's how it works. Portal does it. Half-Life does it. But then you get games where Metal Gear Solid 5 does that, and it's a mess, because there's bits. But this is something else. This is my third thing I'm getting onto in a minute. But that's a mess because it's out of its control. And the more you look into what happened with Metal Gear Solid 5, there's a lot of reasons why it is the way that it is. And I can almost forgive them. And you can see what they wanted to do. But anyway, this is the third thing I'm going to. Anyway, so let's take Metal Gear Solid out. So put another one in there. Just trying to think of one that really riled me up to the point where I'm like, you've done what? So Condemned 2. Condemned 2. That's a better one. So like Condemned 1. And actually I watched, there was a review of Mad Max Fury Road by the Nostalgia Critic that does it really well. He basically puts it in the way of films, but you can apply it to games as well. Any kind of media you can kind of do it with. So like he basically says, a lazy film, so in my case, a lazy game, you can just put a blank piece of paper in front of somebody and it's something you've seen 19 times, 20 times before. A film that tries too hard, it tries to put everything on the page. It's a confusing, absolute fuckfest of a mess. However, if you get something that's in between, where it's got enough drawn in there, but with bits that are just missing out so you can connect the dots, it works. And Mad Max Fury Road is a good example. Condemned, the original Condemned, and Half-Life as well, exactly the same, where you have enough and you can go out and find the blanks and fill them up with what you see and what you learn. Condemned 2, totally different, where it changes characters, it changes the way they talk, it changes how the plot feels, it brings a guy back from the dead, and it's just a mess. And it doesn't even feel like the original game and how the style was. It's just a complete, utter fucking narrative mess. and it disjoints the player. Coming from somebody like me who thinks, you know, well, that's different. Why is that different? Is there a reason why that's different? And if it doesn't explain it, I hate it. I know games are meant to be played, and I get that. I understand that. But if you put somebody in in a totally different game, it's like for example, God of War, right? You're playing God of War, you're playing as Kratos, second one comes around, they've changed Kratos to a woman, still called her Kratos, and given her a man's voice. It's same principle. You just kind of go, wait, why? Why's that happened? And if it doesn't explain it, you don't understand it. There's no reason behind it. So yeah, for me, it's the way stories are told in video games. Recently, it's become more of a mess rather than actually a clear how this works. And it gets me down because Arkham Knight is a great game to a point, but that story is a mess. It's shocking. So in my second irritating aspect is putting in time and effort and getting nothing back from the narrative, because if you've put in nearly 50 hours worth of work, you better have a good fucking ending or a reason why you're doing it. Otherwise, you're going to be fucking knocked, because you ain't getting that time back. There is no way you're getting that time back. So yeah, that's number two. But yeah, number three. Number three is, I don't know, I think it's always been a problem in the games industry, but I've never really experienced it firsthand, but it's starting to be more of a problem on the consumer, is the publisher-developer dynamic. That's the third irritating thing, and it's to do with Mel Gear Solid 5. Purely because you can see... Right, I mean, it's a slight spoiler, but it's weird with Mel Gear Solid 5. It just ends. It just ends. And there's bits in it that are missing, and stuff just seems to stop. Plot lines don't get tied up. There's bits in trailers that aren't there. It's weird. It's such a weird experience, and it's a great game, but the more that I've found out and researched about it, is I can understand why I was so angry with the Quiet thing now, is because it's not finished. It's just bizarre. It just stops. The whole game just kind of goes, there's the ending. And it's like, wait, what? And it makes sense, but at the same time you're going, why does that happen? And it doesn't give you any kind of closing. It just stops. So yeah, it's bizarre. It's the pressure from publishers on developers, and because of that pressure upon the developer, we don't get what we want because of it. And Novabug said it quite well. We'll never see Silent Hills because of Konami. Metal Gear Solid 5 got rushed out, and I'm not pushing all blame that it's all Konami with this kind of negativity, but we're starting to see that it's affecting us as consumers. And I know this sounds complete bullshit, and it sounds like, you know what I mean? It sounds like I'm being hoity-toity about it. But it is affecting what we could have got. And we you know, it's... Mind you, what I'm saying that, it could have been the Metal Gear Solid 5. That was it. That was genuinely going to be it. There was nothing more. It was done. So I don't know. Yeah, sorry about that. My throat's killing. I don't know what's wrong with me. So yeah, it's a strange one. I mean, the whole dynamic between them and what the developer wants to do and what we get. You know, if they had time, and Problem is, gamers don't want to wait forever, and that's another aspect, you know. It's irritating because we know what we want. We want something new and fresh and different, but at the same time, we don't want to wait for it. So that's my third irritating aspect. That's genuinely my third one. Okay, so yeah, my fourth one. It's going to be controversial and it'll get me a lot of hate, but it's fanboyism. And I think it's a dangerous thing, is fanboyism, because it's a strange thing. Because say with the Nintendo is probably the best example for this, for me personally. It's when it's fierce, extreme fanboyism, when it's a problem, I always find, is if anybody says anything bad, say about Mario, you'll always get some keyboard warrior or somebody who's very passionate about that particular thing, and they'll slay everybody else off, and it creates console wars and stuff like that. And I think it's ridiculous, and it feeds the companies, which is what they want, because obviously they want people to support them and go out there and say all the right things. But I think it sets a dangerous precedent, and you don't see it in any other kind of form of media, I don't think. I mean, you might see it in, like, you know, music, to be honest. You do see it with bands like saying like Slipknot was better than Korn. I mean, that's going back a few years. Excuse me, but you know, I just think it's dangerous. I just don't think you should always have an open mind. And I mean, I'm not a big advocate of Nintendo, but I wouldn't outright slate them, because I mean, they've made some good shit over the years. But at the same time, I wouldn't go, you know, your console or your particular platform is wank because of A, B, and C, and you're wrong. You know, and I hate people that do that. And anyone who comes out saying, I'm part of the elite PC master race, ha 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 ha, I don't care. And I don't think any console person cares either. As soon as you come in saying that, they think you're an absolute knobhead. As soon as you say those words, because it just shows that maybe, yeah, you've got the biggest abs, you've got the biggest cock, but my God, no one's interested in looking at you. No one. And I think that's probably one of the things that gets on my wick. You should just accept everything, and it's just there, and you should look at it, be thoughtful of it. If it's rubbish after you've played it, it's rubbish. If it's great, say why it's great. And that's your point of view. That is your point of view. And if somebody else asks you and says like, it's good because of A, B, and C, and they actually debate with you, that's great. That's how it should work. It shouldn't be, you're wrong and you'll stay wrong and you're a dick for thinking that, blah, blah, blah. Not worth your time. And that's when fanboyism is at its worst, and with gaming, it's everywhere. Certain games, certain titles, certain accessories to an extent get this kind of thing, and it's irritating. And it's like the Kinect. The Kinect is like, oh, you shouldn't have the Kinect because it's bad. But it's like, well, yeah, maybe it was, but at least, you know, they were trying something new and different. You know, at least they tried. So yeah, I always think you got to look at it with an open mind rather than just outright slate and say you're wrong. And I think the gaming community does have that bullheadedness about it, and I wish it didn't. And it is starting to get better now, I'll be honest. It is starting to get a lot better than it was. But some of them, and I just think it doesn't set up a good debate or a good community. And the phrase "the community," I hate using that, but I mean, if you want to create a community, you have to talk to one another. You don't outright argue with one another. You debate, you talk it through. But it's just the one saying you are outright wrong. Anything you say is wrong. I ain't got time for that. I think that's just something you shouldn't do. And if you are doing that on other people's videos or anybody else's games, and you're not letting other people, you know, experience that, you're doing it wrong. You know, Because my videos, I mean, you watch them, if they are awful, I hope that I inspire you to then go out and play it and then actually experience it yourself. But, you know, that's the whole point of what I do. I always play it, and then if I think it's awful, I'll say it's awful. And then if I tell you to avoid it, I think more than likely you're going to go out and you're going to play it and experience it yourself. Or if it's really good, you're going to do that as well. So, you know. But if you think it's really good, I want you to tell me it's really good. That's how it works. Anyway, I've gone off on a tangent, but those are my 4 irritating gaming aspects.
So Dave there, Infected Flinch, with a rather epic rant. I had to cut that down a bit. Go and see the full video though. He really goes off on one. Always fun to watch. So I hope your sore throat's better now, Dave. So some of the things he highlighted on, which I'm not surprised. Well, the last one he talked about was fanboyism, and of course this obsession. Some people have this obsession with a certain platform or a certain developer or publisher, and will not have a bad word said about them, and can't stand criticism, and then attack everybody that doesn't like them, or attack everybody that won't like something else. Yes, it's ridiculous. We've spoken about it before. It's a ridiculous thing, but it does happen in the industry, and it does happen as a gamer. You know, we've all done it. I think we're all guilty of it at one point. But, you know, in certain levels, at least, you know, most of us are adults now and we can discuss openly. But the spec is still shit. No, I'm only joking. What else did he say? Oh, yeah, tutorials. Yeah, I never would have thought of that one, but it's true what he says about certain modern games treating you like a prat. And, oh, yeah, do this and do that, and you don't, and go away. After a while, it just gets annoying. And especially when, like he mentions, when you have to restart a game, and it goes through all the same gubbins again. It's good when they do the blending, like he mentions, the clever thing where they blend it into part of the narrative, a part of the storyline of the game or whatever. And that's good because that leads on to his other point, which he says about bad storylines, broken storylines that don't make sense, that are a mixture. There's too many plot points, there's too many twists. It's all a big bloody jumble mess, and you kind of scratching your head half the time thinking, what the bloody hell is going on? He does mention Metal Gear. It is guilty for that. Certain Final Fantasy games are certainly guilty of that too. I always found the Soul Reaver, the Legacy of Kain series, some of the things going on in there a bit, you know, kind of a bit like that. But good points, well expressed, Dave. And finally, the last one he said was obviously the age-old argument of publisher, developer versus dynamic kind of thing, where one puts pressure on the other to deliver the game and the other one puts pressure on the other to say give us more time or less time or whatever. And yeah, it's annoying, but it's kind of always been with us, isn't it? I mean, we still get the same thing that we've been getting since the early 80s. Games that are unfinished, rushed out due to time constraints and deadlines. What are you going to do? Hey. So, well done, Dave. Well done for winning Friday Foursome 10. But we'll go on to second place. And, well, joint second place, actually. I believe it is, anyway. Well, it's not joint second place. I tell a lie. It is outright second place. And that's Lee, Retro Gamer Addict. Take it away, Lee, with your most irritating aspects of gaming.
The first one I'm going to go for is a common thing in games nowadays, is patching. Now some people might say it's a good thing because if a game comes out and it's got some problems with it, you can patch it and fix it, whereas an old console game, if it were broken, it's broken. But I'm starting to think that it's just going to lead to laziness, really, rather than making a game perfect and it's complete and finished and then releasing it. It's sort of like, well, it's not completely finished, it's got these problems, but never mind, we can just keep releasing patches and releasing patches and sort it out. Which I think it's a slippery slope to go on that. I mean, really, get working on the game, get it finished, get it tested, and release it without problems. I think it's going to get to a point soon where all games are just really going to be beta. We're all going to be beta testers. I mean, it's already on Steam, isn't it? You can early access. You can buy a game before it's even finished, and you're sort of testing it as you're playing it. I mean, I just want a game to be finished. I mean, look, when was the last time you put a game into like a modern console, like if you've got a PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, every time I put a game in, it does an update. So there's obviously something that needed sorting out even before the game's even been released. It's just, I don't know. I mean, like I said, yeah, there's good points. I mean, some games might be considered finished and they like they play tested them, but when it goes out into wild, people are doing things that they didn't expect them to do, and it could cause a problem. So therefore, they can release a patch and they can fix it. I can see benefits of that. That's a good thing. Like I said, with a console game, if it comes out and it's broke, it's broke. You can't do what about it. But yeah, I'm just worried it's just going to lead to laziness, really. So the first thing I'm going to say is patching games. Second one, I can't get my head around this. I really can't. I try and figure out why it is the way it is, but I just can't. I can't do it. I can't do it, and that is digital price of games. I mean, you look on PlayStation Store and new games that I can buy on Amazon for like 35, 40 quid, they're 60 quid. That can't be right. I mean, you look at what you're not having to do. You're not having to put the game onto a disc. You're not having to plastic cases. You're not having to do printing for covers. You're shipping. The shipping cost must be unbelievable. They're not even any of that. There's no way that a digital game is dearer than a physical game. It's just not possible. And plus as well, if you buy a physical game, you've gone then, say you buy it for 40 quid, you finish it quick enough, you've got trading on that. You can sell it for another 20 quid, so it might end up only costing you about 20 quid for that game in the end. Digital, £60. It's ridiculous. And the strange thing is though, you can't blame them for doing that, because they obviously thought, right, what price points we could do these digital games. Someone's gone 60 quid. Oh, I don't know, it's a bit steep that. They put it on there, and people are paying it. If people are paying it, they're never gonna drop it, are they? So digital prices, ridiculous. Third one, what have I got down for third one? Right, this one really does annoy me. DLC is fine. DLC that's on the disc that I fucking pay for is wrong. I mean, to have sections already on the disc and for me to have to pay money to unlock that after I've already bought the disc is bang out of order. That is fucking right out of order. That you can't do that. If I physically buy the disc, surely there's some laws against this. If I physically buy a disc, I'm entitled to every bit of information on that disc. I shouldn't have to then pay extra for it. That's ridiculous. DLC that comes out and it's separate and you download it, like your whatever's GTAs and your Witches and stuff like that. Fair enough. Adds to the game. It's like a mini version of the game that they made. You download that. Not a problem with that. It's up to you. You can take it or leave it. But stuff that's actually on the disc and has been held back and put some sort of, I don't know, something on it so that you cannot access that unless you pay for it. That's just bang out of order. That's ridiculous. It's just I don't know. I don't know how they can sleep at night. My last one, it's release date announcements these days. I mean, I think I'm right in saying that Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain, the first sort of video snippet or announcement sort of talk about that was 7 years before it actually come out. That's ridiculous. I hate it when you're watching E3 press conference and it says, here's this regular game, and it's like 3 years away or something like that, and it's like, and every year then they drip feed you little bits of it. It never used to be like that. I mean, I remember when I was buying like games like for Spectrum, NES, Master System, Mega Drive, actually as far as PlayStation, Dreamcast, PS2, Xbox, because I don't think I ever got into looking at games on internet until 360 PS3 era. Before that it were all magazines, and you'd look at a magazine and the game, if they were reviewing a game, it were already out. Even if they had previews in magazines, it would have been a preview or imported version, or it'll be coming out in about 3 or 4 months time, which is nothing. They went on to this, look at this game, look at this Mega Drive game, it's amazing, it's going to be out in another 3 years. I mean, obviously I know that the games take longer to make now than what they did back then, but it still annoys me the fact that when a game gets announced that I'm really excited for and really look forward to, and it's fucking 3-4 years away, it just winds me up. I remember just going to a video game shop, looking on shelves, seeing a game, and then having to go and save for that game to come back and buy it. That's the only waiting I had to do back then. But now, I mean, for kids nowadays, it must be magic. I mean, they see a game coming out, they can fucking spend 4 years saving for it. It's easy, but it just annoys me. I'm not really, when it comes to when I want something, I'm not really patient. So if I see a game that I really want, to know it's that far away, it really does piss me off. I try to tend to not to watch these things now because I know how frustrated I'll get. But yeah, I just used to love walking into a game shop with some money and just buying a game. I'd love it now, whereas if games now didn't get announced and it were like E3 comes on, right, here's this fantastic game, Grand Theft Auto 12 or whatever it is, and then at end of announcement, if you go into a shop now, it's available now, that'd be brilliant. I mean, they're never going to do it because they need all hype for pre-orders and stuff like that, but it'd be nice, wouldn't it? And plus there's another thing that really annoys me about it, is I'm pretty much going to be a gamer all my life. So let's say, be a bit optimistic here, let's say I get to about 85 and I'm still playing games. There's going to be a time when I'm going to sit down and watch one of these E3s. I'm going to see this brand new game announced that's amazing. It could be like another one in series, like, I don't know, like a GTA 15 or something like that, or it might be a brand new game that just looks amazing. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited to play it. And then there's going to be a point where I think, and I realise that I'm probably going to be dead when it comes out, and I'm not going to be able to play it. And that really depresses me. And it's going to happen to everybody. It's going to happen to all you lot. There's going to be a point in time where the game's going to come out that you really want to play, and you're actually going to be thinking, am I going to still be alive? Because it takes that long from announcement to release. So there's a thought for you. That's something cheerful to have a little think about.
So the retro gamer addict there being very cool and calm about his irritations. Impressively done. Impressively done. So, the things he mentions. Again, we're highlighting on release, unfinished games. A sort of similar thing that Dave was talking about. Already touched on that. Always going to happen, unfortunately. Yeah, it's true what he says, though, about modern games. I mean, my brother put that in on the day of release and needed an update straight away. That I did. Huh? He can scratching his head. Why did that happen? Okay, right, fine. Digital oh yeah, I mean, I didn't know. I didn't realise digital prices are fucking ridiculous, aren't they? PSN he says about, but I've got first-hand experience as well of Nintendo's DLC, not DLC, sorry, of digital download prices, and they are ridiculous. Why are they so expensive? It's crazy. It's utterly crazy. And it's true, when you can go to eBay or Amazon or a shop, remember them? A shop, and buy them physical for £20 cheaper sometimes. It's crazy, the prices. And when you don't even have something tangible in your hand and you've paid 50 quid for something, that goes up shit creek and it's gone. And you've got to somehow get it back. Maybe you can get it back by the cloud nowadays, I don't know. The cloud. What? I sometimes think I'm living in cloud cuckoo land sometimes when you talk about clouds. Anyway, and that relates to another thing that he said was sort of, in a way, DLC on disc. So this is content on the disc which has to be unlocked via a purchase. Well, yes, I fully agree with you, Lee. Bang out of order, and I think it has been done several. I mean, didn't GTA 4 do it, or was it a GTA 3 San Andreas have content on the disc that you had to unlock in a different way? I can't remember exactly. I might be wrong there, so don't quote me. Never quote the bug. But yeah, I mean that's just bang out of order, really. It's not on. It's not on at all, because you like Lee says, you have bought the game, you have paid your money. I want everything that's on that disc. I want to play everything that's on that disc. It's pretty rude. Finally, release dates. They do get frustrating, don't they? I don't get annoyed by them so much, just because I can sympathise sort of with the developers, but especially Nintendo because when they make a game, they generally get it right when they release it. Generally, I'm not saying always. Generally, but in recent times, there's been lots of games that have been released. Touching on another of his points about unfinished, and it's been set back so long, and you think, well, this is going to be awesome, and it's a pile of shit, and so It's a strange one, that. What they shouldn't do is promise when it's going to be out and then delay it. They should just say, this is on the way, and we'll update you when we have a confirmed release date. Maybe it's difficult for them to do that. Maybe they just want to tease you, bring you in and say, oh, it's going to be on this day, so you're excited for, say, I don't know, 20th of December or something, and it doesn't come out until the 20th of May following year. Yeah, Legends of Zelda Wii U, I'm looking at you. So, well done, Lee, for that. Now, final winner. We're going over onto the continent again. Let's check out the Highlander. What irritates him about gaming?
Number 1. When stuff doesn't work. I mean, gaming is all about technology, right? Whether it's a console or a PC or even a board game. But when stuff doesn't work, that is one of the major irritations, especially in PC gaming. You know, I upgraded to Windows 10 not long ago, and you know, my head tracking device doesn't work, my controller doesn't work. If I want to connect like a PlayStation controller to the PC, you have to have software, and the driver doesn't work, and you plug it in and you plug it out, and things change, and all of a sudden the thing that you wanted to do stops working. That sucks. I've fixed things a lot in my life, and I used to like it. But now I just want stuff to work. So if you want to sit down and your console breaks down, or updates fall in this category as well. I mean, if you want to update, or if you have to download something and the PlayStation Network is down, how about that? You know, I mean, if your cartridge doesn't work or your disc is scratched, that kind of thing. I hate that. Number 2, another irritation in gaming is controls. Some games, they get it right. God of War, in my case, gets it right. Elite gets it right. The Nintendo and platforming. Have you ever thought about how difficult it is to get the exact mechanics that Nintendo do, even in Mario Brothers on the NES? That is mastering game physics. But many programmers haven't mastered that, and some games just get it all wrong, and the games become unplayable. And you sit down for a game, and you can't play it because the game makes it too hard for you to play. That's an irritation. Here's another one. Do you remember ever playing a game with a friend, and Snowkey is a perfect example. Snowkey on the Commodore 64. It's one of those pixel perfect games, you know, where they didn't get the mechanics quite right. It's very precise, and it's really, really rock hard. Remember when your friend kept, you know, beating you at this game, and you were just trying and trying and trying until the sweat was like glistening on your brow and your back was wet, and you were trying to hold down your anger? And I like gaming with friends, you know, but if someone keeps beating you and rubs it in, that's the worst. I used to have a friend, Frank, I've mentioned him before. I used to have a friend, and he could like be that insensitive, you know. I'd get white hot, you know. I'd almost go supernova, but I'd sort of hold it back, you know, don't explode. And he'd start rubbing it in. And I liked gaming with friends, but man, there were afternoons that I just really, you know, I wanted to go home and do something else, just quit the frustration, but you know, on the other hand, you wanted to stay. So that's a social aspect of gaming that the frustration of gaming when things just don't work out the way you want. That's another. That's my number 3. You know, you just can't contain yourself, and the thing where the only solution is to rage quit, and you break stuff. I've never broken stuff. I've never broken a controller or anything, but I have stormed out on several occasions. So yeah, that. The last frustration is to do with save games. You know, I'm personally very happy with games that offer you lots of options to save. Some games, they make you finish a section and then allow you to save, and sometimes these sections are pretty long, and you just this is like the Tantalus. What do you call it? I don't know the word. I know it in Dutch. Tantalus was the guy who pushed a rock uphill, and when he almost got there, it rolled back down again, and he had to start over again. That thing. So some games make you like put in all the effort, you know, and you do all the challenges, and you do them all again and again and again, and at the end you jump into a spike, or you get hit by a Medusa head and you die and you have to go back. You know, that's the save game that you're extra proud of. My irritation is that moment when you discover that save game has been corrupted. Fuck, you know, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Are you gonna do it again? All of it? Are you gonna do it again? All of it? Or are you gonna go on the internet and try and find a method of repairing your save game? You know, all is lost at that point, man. You either forget it or just, you know, sink your teeth in again and start from scratch. I don't know.
So there is Walter with his irritations. I'm sorry, I'm not agreeing with some of them, and I'll tell you why. I'm gonna sort of make an argument against one of them with you, and there's a common bond we have together, Highlander. But we'll get to that in a minute. So, bad controls. Well, bad control. Yeah, I mean, also, if you're from the 8-bit era and the 16-bit era, you're very familiar with bad controls, but there are lots of games nowadays that have bad controls, and they're not designed very well, and I can certainly agree with that. I mean, there's certain games that I really do like their presentation, their graphics, and their gameplay, but their controls let them down because they're so awkward, and I get that. I really do get that. Not a big irritation for me. It kind of stems from being an 8-bit person, and sort of that was I used to having, you know, if it was shit controls, bollocks, but get on with it. And that's where I'm going to come to you with another point there, Walter. What other one did he say? I can't even read my own bloody writing. Oh yeah, when stuff doesn't work. A lot of these are very old school complaints in a way, but these are all sort of things we had to tolerate back in the day. I can understand modern gamers getting frustrated with some of these, but old school gamers, maybe we should be immune. Walter, you should be immune to these kind of things. You know, we weren't. The Amstrad, for instance, wouldn't work every time. It wouldn't load every time. I'm sure the Commodore was exactly the same. In fact, I'm positive the Commodore was exactly the same because it was the same sort of system. The same with the Spectrum. But yeah, when a cartridge doesn't work, it is annoying us. It is annoying. I mean, like that. I know Kit will hate me for saying that, doing the blowing the cartridge thing. I know why as well, Kit. So don't shoot me down, please, Mike. But it is annoying. The thing when he talks about PCs, that is the reason why I don't PC game, because I find it that when doesn't. You talk about things not working. I can accept it on old school computers. I can accept it on consoles. It's something I can sort of forgive in a way, especially older ones, because they're getting old and they're getting a bit worn out. But PCs and PC gaming, that is one thing that does wind me up, is why the game does not work. You've got to have a certain setting here, a certain driver there, and like Wouter says, all the stuff that he said, it's fucking annoying, and it just annoys me to the point where I don't want to PC game anymore. I know that I do enjoy some PC games, I have done in the past, but I can't be asked to go through all that rigmarole to get the damn thing working. So I know that one, mate. Bang on your page on that one. I'm on your page with this one as well. Being beaten by games, at games, should I say, games you like probably, by your friends and your family and such like. Yeah, it's well, you've seen my NRG extras, so you know how I feel about that. I get frustrated. Not as much as I used to. Talked about this in my last video. Yes, I did, didn't I? That's a good one. But I'm going to take you to point with something about it. Save point, the save point thing you said. You, my friend, are used to a Commodore, right? So therefore, and we didn't have save points. The system crashed, we fucked up, we died. We have to start over, that's it. And that's what you got used to, and I got used to that all the time. We didn't have save points. Save points were brand... When the... what was the first game? I can't remember the first game I had with a save point. Might have been something on the PlayStation. Probably. No, tell a lie. It would be the SNES. And it was probably something like Secret of Mana that had a save point. Or saving your progress. Something like that. And... it was that was a new thing. I mean, with a game like Secret of Mana or any RPG is massive. So that was not what I was used to, because I obviously wasn't in the Nintendo kind of thing at the time. I was Amstrad and stuff, and they didn't have save points. You die, the game crashes, there's a power cut. I don't know. The kettle explodes. I don't know. We had to start again. So I'm quite unsure why you highlight that about it, considering you're from the same generation as me. We should be immune to that. So there. Anyway, thank you very much, the Highlander, for that. Great stuff, guys. Now, on to the Friday Foursome 11. Or should I say, the Fallout Foursome 11. Themed around the massive hype over this game right here. Fallout 4. Now, my brother's currently playing through it. I will be giving it a go very soon. Big hype over it, and why not? I'm not gonna begrudge it for that. The last game was very good, but it is the fourth game in the series, and there is my question. I want you to choose whatever you want to do. Your four. There's 2 4s in this, like an 8. Your 4 fourth sequels. Yeah. Now, I know the moment I've said that, you've gone, shit, that's a hard question. Because there can't be many 4th sequels. But think about it for a minute, and you think, actually, there's fuck tons of them. And there is. I thought this question up as I was driving down the road in the bus. Yeah. And I could think of 30 games off the bat. Just like that. All 4th entries in their respective series or IPs. So that's what I want you to pick. They don't have to be your favourites. It's not a top 4. You don't have to be your favourites. They don't have to be your worst. Just noteworthy why you've picked them. It could be the terrible. They could be they're not approved on say the 3rd entry or the 1st entry. They could have made mistakes, adjustments that you didn't like to the gameplay or whatever the adjustment to the series was. Anything goes on that. Just pick 4 4th sequels. And I'm going to pick my 4th sequels now. And some of them are going to be a surprise to you. One of them probably not. But the first one will be Super Castlevania 4. Now, I consider this still, to this day, my favourite Castlevania. Even beyond Symphony of Night and Castlevania 2. And a lot of people consider them great games, and they are. But I still consider Final Fantasy. I'm going in. Castlevania 4 on the SNES, the most superior Castlevania game. It's the game that I grew up with. Maybe I've got a big nostalgia to it, so that's probably a hook there. But I think it's perfectly done as a remake to the first game. I think it's perfectly done. It's got graphics that are epic for the SNES. It's got atmosphere. The music is off the chart. It's one of the most fantastic soundtracks I've ever heard. The gameplay is awesome. The pacing is really good. It feels so slow when you first start it, but then you realise why they've paced it at that speed when it starts to get really fucking hard. For instance, the staircase section and the clock tower. So satisfying when you beat them. So satisfying. And fourth game in the series. So Super Castlevania 4. Awesome. Absolutely awesome game. I'm saying this to rub it into my TPE cohort Alan, because he doesn't like it that much. Alan. Anyway, second game or fourth sequel for me would be Burnout Revenge. Now, Burnout Revenge, as all these are fourth entries in their series, in the game franchise, as it were. And I think Burnout Revenge, I prefer. I mean, a lot of people really like the third one, Takedown. And that is fantastic. I think all the Burnout games are fantastic until they started going a bit funny with Paradise and stuff. But Revenge, it has everything the third game has, and a little bit more. It has a slight improvement on the graphics, a slight improvement on the speed. It has the biggest thing that I really do like about it. It's got the revenge gameplay aspect, where if someone takes you down, and it does that sort of cutscene where it zooms in on them. This is your revenge target, and you get extra bonus points if you get them back and you force them to crash. I think that's a brilliant mechanic. It really gets you hyped up for the game. That does. It's a real great addition to a quite high octane game in the first place. And the tour mode on it is massively extensive. There's a massive big roster of cars. It's a wonderful arcade racer, really exciting. The only thing that I don't like about it, which they changed from the original, the first three at least, is the checking thing. They put that in, where basically you're now allowed to ram up the arse of any fucking vehicle you like, as long as it's not heavier than you, and you're fine, and you get points for it, and burnout points for it. I'm not too sure about that. I mean, it kind of makes the game a lot easier, but considering the size of it and how bigger it is to the predecessors, then maybe they've just got away with it. It's a bit of a cheat to do that. It's just smashing up all the cars. It is funny when you try and you sort of don't see it because you're going so bloody quickly, and you miss and you smash up the back of an Arctic. That's an articulated truck, for those who are not au fait with the slang terms of what the bug speaks. But that's smash-a-rooney. Right, third game for my fourth sequel. Dizzy game. I nearly said something else there, but I did want to put this in. The fourth Dizzy game, Magic Land Dizzy. It's not my favourite, but it's lots of other people's favourites. A lot of Dizzy fans say that Magic Land Dizzy is their favourite game. And of course it's been reimagined recently as the new game, Wonderland Dizzy, which is kind of a reskinning version of Magic Land Dizzy, with a few extra puzzles and a few different characters. But I'm picking that. It was massive on the Spectrum, really big on the Spectrum. There was a little sub game that came out with Crash magazine called Dizzy 3.5 Into Magic Land. So there you go. It was a big game at the time. This is when Dizzy was at the height of fame, just on the back of my favourite game, which was Fantasy World Dizzy, the third game in the series. So it's a great game. It's a typical Dizzy game, and it's before the game that came after it, Dizzy 5, Spellbound Dizzy. That sort of lost its way a little bit. Too long, too difficult, too frustrating. The first four games are generally, apart from the one life death on Treasure Island, the second game, the first four games are really spot on games. I love all four of them. But the fourth one, Magic Land Dizzy, is a great game. It's a great game. My final fourth sequel is an extremely popular game, very famous. Everyone who's ever played it, I think, loves it. It was the first game I ever played on the Super Nintendo. And some people are going to argue that it isn't the fourth game in the series, but it is to the platforming canon. And you obviously know I'm talking about Mario. Mr. Mario is back. Mario World. Super Mario World. And it was a huge game changer when I played that. Previous to that, I'd only played Mario Brothers 2. Super Mario Brothers 2. And I wasn't even aware of the old Doki Doki Panic thing anyway, that back then. I went back and played Mario Brothers 1, I think, properly. I think I played it once in a display cab, but going back after Mario World was surreal to watch what Super Mario Brothers was like then. I do love Mario Brothers 3, Super Mario Brothers 3, and I can understand where they've got all the elements of Super Mario Brothers 3. They've transferred it to the 16-bit platform and just elevated it to this just awesome platform experience. Every level is just unique. The ghost houses, the secret areas, so many secret areas in it. Star Road, the map, you move around. Obviously, we've seen that from previous, Super Mario Bros. 3, but they sort of enhanced it, and made it into a proper world kind of thing. Super Mario World. The inclusion of Yoshi, and the Mode 7 on Bowser at the end. Not to spoil it for you, but everyone knows that the mechanics, the gameplay, the graphics, the music, and everything about Super Mario World is just absolutely pinnacle. The pinnacle of gaming. It is one of the best games ever, in my opinion. And it is a full sequel. You could call it Super Mario Brothers 4, if you wanted to. Now, we're not going to include things like Super Mario Land and stuff. It's on the Game Boy. It's a sort of a spin-off. It's not part of the actual canon of games. Not that Nintendo wouldn't want it like that. I mean, for instance, I think the fifth game would be Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island. And that's the primary platforming canon on the big platforms, on the big system platforms, the home consoles. So that's my argument to why it's the fourth game. Anyway, but anyway, that's my choice. Super Mario World, fantastic. So now over to you guys. Over to you. Get your thinking caps on. Get your four fours thinking caps on. Your fourth sequels. You can pick Fallout 4 if you want. If you've played it enough to realise it's a fantastic game and it's noteworthy enough, go ahead. Whatever you want. But there are so many fourth sequels out there you wouldn't believe. Just sit down and think about it for like 10 minutes and you think, yeah. You wouldn't believe. I'll give you some examples. Wipeout Fusion. That's a fourth game. Donkey Kong Country Returns. I think it's a fourth game. I'm pretty sure it is. And obviously Forza 3. Halo 3. Halo 4, sorry. But you know what I mean, Uncharted 4. Far Cry 4. Can you see him there? There's so many examples. Get thinking. Get them out on a VR to the Friday Foursome. We'd love to hear them. Say, look, all themed around the fours. This is the most forest of foursomes you'll ever likely to view. I'm all fored out now. So anyway, this will be the last Friday Foursome for this year. There'll be a special episode just before Christmas. Well, I won't be posing a question. That would be doing the results to this one and saying how the Friday Foursome will evolve and change over the next year. But thank you everyone for the support. The Friday Foursome is, I love it. I love doing it. I look forward to doing this every month now. When and I know this was a week late. I was going to do a Halloween themed question, but I'm 2 weeks away now from that. I'm 2 weeks late for that now, so that's going to have to wait until that's going to wait 10 months until next year or something like that. 10 months is it? 12 months? 11? I don't know. All I can think about is fours. Fallout Foursome. Have fun. I want to see your responses. As always, post them to me, links, PM, any way you see fit. Tweet, whatever. Just get me the address. Get me the video. Get me the address. I will post them on my Facebook. The votes will come in. Everyone please set all the links to the description box, as always. Thank you very much. I'm talking too quick. Friday Foursome 11. Friday Fallout Foursome 11. Out. Fall out.